around the mid-court region at the back, getting the shuttle going down, and the only difference is that your partner is a male. He's still going to have the shuttle set up for him and also do a lot of work for his partner, so I don't really think there's such a big difference between changing from the mixed doubles game to the doubles game. It's really going to be difficult for Lin, who's ostensibly a singles player, to adapt his style of play to the very rapid, fast interchanges you're going to find in doubles.
Thank you. Lap 2. 1, 2.
Lovely quality low serve from Tae Kwon. One thing the singles player does always find very, very difficult about doubles is the basics. All world-class doubles have a very good serve, a very good returner serve, and a very good third shot of the rally. And singles players, they tend to, if they can get past that initial stage of a quality first shot or a second shot, then there's not really a lot to call between it. And as we saw there, another service error from Lin Wen.
2-all.
Well, you said that you thought the Koreans were a little bit sluggish. It must be desperately difficult for them. So much expectation coming in today. Of course, they had a better record in the Sudirman Cup than any other country. Prior to today, of course, Korea twice winners of this World Team Championship. And with all those expectations now destroyed, having lost the cup, it is difficult for them psychologically.
I think it would be very, very difficult for any player in that situation, but knowing Tae Kwon very well, he's a player who loves to thrive on the emotion of a situation, very pumped up. He would have been absolutely on the edge of his seat while his compatriots were playing, and I'm sure he's on a real emotional low at the moment, but one or two rallies to get into it, and I'm sure he's going to realise the situation. There's again a very uncharacteristic effort there from Tae Kwon. Normally he'd launch himself headlong at the shuttlecock, but just allowed it to hit the floor.
Well, quite obvious their mind really isn't on it. In all their previous matches, I remember so many errors from this Korean pair, especially from the big man. There he is. In fact, the youngest player on court, Tae Kwon, 22 years of age.
You can really see the passion with which these players address the Sudirman Cup. You can almost see the disappointment visually in Tae Kwon's face.
Sloke head, bowed low. No real enthusiasm there, you're quite right. Disappointment all too obvious.
Perfect length lift there from Kang Kyun Jin. I just wonder whether or not a couple of points in a row might just inspire them.
2-9 seconds.
Well, Chinese playing very well, but really a drastic lack of enthusiasm from the Koreans.
You could always look at it for the surprise selection of the Chinese duo from the same perspective. Perhaps China was so confident at taking the first three rubbers, or of course having Gefei and Gu Jun, the undisputed #1 ladies pair in the world, to come in the last match, that they thought, let's put out a pair that we know are going to give it 110% and really try and prove something out there, which at the moment the Chinese pair are really doing.
They certainly are, but that sort of miscommunication between the Koreans, the shuttle going down the centre of the court, neither of them going for it. Well, that's not the sort of play we're used to from these two men. Usually so dynamic, aren't they?
Indeed, that is their style. Absolute 110% sustained effort for the entirety. We've got to remember also that they've done their bit for Korea to get them through to this final. Next week's all about them, and with their particular style, they're out there playing an extra game than their other competitors, and the form that these two are in, believe it or not, I really think that they could be pushing for the final placings in the individual World Championship, and I'm sure they're perhaps trying to conserve effort there, and even Kang Kyun Jin looking very resigned to the prospect.
Yes, indeed. They would looking to try and restore some of the Korean pride. A little more enthusiasm in that rally from Tae Kwon.
But we couldn't underestimate the quality of play there from Chen Xin. A very fast interchange, a few deceptive strokes into the mid-court.
That's a great smash. And let's hope that that spurs them into action. Well, yesterday in their semi-final against Denmark, this Korean pair really getting on the attack the whole time. Their total confusion. Is that really that they've just given up, or are they just so bitterly disappointed with the fact that Korea have already lost, that, you know, they've lost interest and they just can't motivate themselves?
I think it's bitter disappointment coupled with the fact that they want to save the physical exertions for the individual tournament. I'm sure if they even had a sniff at getting back into this match, they really would come out of the blocks, but they're 3-0 down. There's absolutely nothing they can do about it. They really played a scintillating match yesterday to get Korea through. The rerun of the All-England final was absolutely fantastic badminton, and I just think that they are just saving the physical stuff for next week.
4:30 seconds, Salva.
That's better.
Second server.
Just wide.
Sorry. 6:30.
As the umpire, Johnny Quack of Malaysia, not realising that it had to be a two-way call. Both the side and baseline were called.
36.
Deceptive block attempted there from Lin Lim Wen, but just threw the racket away before putting enough momentum on the shuttle.
A clash of rackets between the Chinese, but got away with it. It's game point. Oh, brilliantly saved.
Lovely angle there from Kang Kyun Jin. Just a flash of his brilliance. Just look at that angle, and Chen Xin can't scramble that one back over the net.
6:40 seconds, Salva. Seconds, Salva.
And short.
47.
Game point again for the Chinese. Well in. Terrible misjudgment. And the untried pairing of Lin Wen and Chen Xin take the opening game 15-7.
They're just a victim of the circumstances. If there was any reason to them putting in 100%, they would do. And it would be foolish of them to exert themselves prior to that. But going back to the actual ruling, it is all China want to do. They want to get their hands on that cup. They want to get back to the hotel, get food inside them, start to load the carbohydrates, replace the fluid, ready for the hard competition on Monday. And I think also the spectators, in a way, despite the fact that they know that they had the potential of watching 5 matches, they don't want to see half-hearted badminton. Badminton is a sport that should be played at 110 miles an hour with all the amount of effort that you can sustain. I really don't think that this is a very good advert for badminton.
4-1.
That's a brilliant defensive shot.
Tae Kwon there just trying to make a bit of a point by slamming that shuttle as hard as he could. And despite the almost lackluster performance from the Koreans, there are almost signs that this China pair really are not bad at all, Jill.
Yes, they're very, very competent players. I mean, Lin Li Wen is 26 in the world men's singles ranking. And, of course, last year at the All England Championships, he beat Peter Gader and Indra Wijaya. Sorry, that was the last All England Championships, obviously, earlier this year. So he's a very competent player. He's beaten players like Joko Supriyanto in the past.
I think the quality highlighted by the fact that he is, in fact, ranked 26 in the world at men's singles, and because he's almost a second string of the Chinese players, he doesn't get sent to all the tournaments. If he was from another country, he'd probably be up there in the top 16, maybe even pushing on the edge of the top 10 by playing the volume of tournaments and gaining a lot more points. Do you think that Chen Xin, you've mentioned that he is really an exponent of the mixed doubles, and unfortunately for him, he turned up late for the World Grand Prix finals, having qualified there in Indonesia this year. What do you think his prospects are this year in the World Championships mixed doubles? Because he really does look sharp in this men's doubles.
Yes, we ought to just qualify that. He turned up late for the Grand Prix finals because he had terrible problems getting his visa to arrive in Indonesia in time. But, I mean, I've played him on numerous occasions, and he was so fast. I certainly found playing against him that you had to dig in there and hope that eventually he would start to make one or two errors, because he really does like to go for his shots. But, you know, Olympic Games semi-finalist, he lost the bronze medal playoff against teammates in Atlanta last year, and he's always been there or thereabouts. And I think he's going to be a problem, as you say, in the individual event for the other competitors. And showing exactly that. Chen Xin finishing that one off so competently.
That really was a quality doubles point there, working as a team, getting the setup for the person at the net to slam the easy one away. There, the despondent face, Kang Kyun Jin.
11-1.
Well, he really isn't interested, is he?
Had lost her concentration fraction, and she's going to be desperately trying hard to get that back.
4-2.
Lovely placement of the drop shot from Ra Kyun Min. Saw that the Chinese duo were side by sides, quite deep in the court. She steered it down, an indecision between the Chinese. You don't see that very often.
5-2, second serve.
An unfortunate error there from Ra. Really had the opportunity to try and give the Korean team a bit of momentum. And that flick was far too short. Just one step back for Gefei, steered it down into court, and Kim couldn't scramble across for it.
Just inside the line. Ra Kyun Min slow to react now. Not only has she got the knee support on, but I noticed that again on that right leg she's got strapping at the back of her leg protecting it.